Today's August 1st. All the street cats were fed and accounted for. The summer of 1994, part 1. The summer of 1994 was the most significant summer of my life. I was 14 and I had just finished 8th grade. I was forced to take summer school because I had failed Miss Centeno's 8th grade history class at Bradley Middle School in San Antonio, Texas. The reason I failed is because I intentionally put the wrong answers on the final exam because my twin brother convinced me that me and him were going to fail 8th grade and come back bigger and stronger than everybody else. In reality, he just didn't want to fail by himself. The other reason I failed that class was because 50% of the grade for Miss Centeno's 8th grade history class was for the quote-unquote heritage project. We were supposed to trace our roots back and look into our ancestry and our ethnicity. The problem was our father wouldn't even tell us how many siblings he had or what part of New York he was from. He never spoke to my brother and me, pretty much reminded us daily how quote-unquote worthless we were, and he hated us. I actually asked him about the project. I didn't say anything. I just handed him the typed prompt on a piece of paper that Miss Centeno gave us. He read it and then looked at me with a shocked face and said, "I'm not effing doing that." It was actually one of the only times he expressed any emotion, shock, in the 11 years I was forced to live with him. My father is a straight-up narcissistic sociopath that used to look up to Ted Bundy. Narcissistic sociopaths are unable to feel empathy or sadness, but they can feel shock and embarrassment. So I had to attend summer school, and I had to pay for it with my own money, but I was only 14, so there wasn't much I could do. I always read the newspaper every day since I was a kid, and I read the classified sections a lot. I knew that there were only 2 jobs available for 14-year-olds. One of the jobs was putting flyers on a person's doors for a pizza shop. The other shop was advertised in the newspaper weekly, and it was for working for the actual newspaper, going to door to door selling newspaper subscriptions. The ad was the same for years. 14 to 16-year-olds wanted, door-to-door sales, no experience or transportation needed. The first day of summer school, I had to walk further than I ever had in my life. That's because summer school wasn't at Bradley Middle School. It was further away at Garner Middle School. And whereas most students in middle school would have parents pick them up and drop them off, I didn't. So after school on the first day, I walked a long set of railroad tracks all the way from Garner Middle School. I remember never feeling as grown up as I did that afternoon walking down those railroad tracks. I had found a brand new white t-shirt, which I put on and threw away my little boy's shirt. I had never had a plain white t-shirt like all those guys in the old movies, but I always wanted one. And because I took this long walk by myself, I had found one. For my whole life, I was forced to wear the rags my father gave me, but not anymore. Things were changing. I was about to start my first job, and I had a feeling that my life was going to change, and I was right. Within a couple years, I'd become the top salesman in San Antonio. I broke all the newspaper sales records and was making sometimes as much as $500 and $600 a week. And it all started that first day of summer school, walking along those railroad tracks. This was the start of my adult life, the summer of 1994. It was the first time my brother and I had the opportunity to earn our own money for food and clothes. It was a different world with money in our pocket. The newspaper job was completely commission-based. If you sold newspaper subscriptions, you got paid. If you didn't sell any, you didn't get paid. San Antonio is one of the largest cities area-wise in the entire United States, so they broke off each section of the city and gave it to one of their workers. I worked for John Ornelas. He was this crazy 40-year-old alcoholic guy. And his area was the northeast side. Before me and my brother started working, John was having a problem finding employees. You got to be a pretty shitty parent to let your kid go off with some strange man in some strange van and sell newspaper subscriptions all through South Texas. It was the best thing that could have ever happened to me. It was the best thing that could have ever happened to me, and our father was furious that me and my brother finally found a way to make our own money. He would make up lies about us and tell our sisters that John would really pick us up to steal things and go off to the pawn shop and pawn them for us. Our father was a real piece of shit. Imagine admiring Ted Bundy.